Hello, I am Martin Green and I'm doing a presentation on the Agile practices at Sky within my team, and my team is called the Apps team. We work for Discovery, which is discovering content at Sky. I'm a software developer, and the Apps team actually, our application powers the homepage for Sky set-top boxes. We are JavaScript full stack developers. And so, yeah, one of the big concepts, we practice Scrum in our team, which is made up of the Scrum team itself, which has the Scrum Master and the programmers. So we've got a small team at the moment, which is about 4 programmers and 1 Scrum Master. We did used to have quite a bit bigger team, probably about 8 to 9 people. And the apps team as general includes also the product owner as well as the designer. Okay, so the idea of our sort of Scrum team is that it's a fully autonomous team, and that means we execute things from the in a whole spectrum. So we do the planning and design, the development, the testing, the deployment. So we're self-sufficient to a certain degree. Obviously, we take with the planning and design, we take ideas and we take requirements from other teams and from other sort of stakeholders, but we are the people who are in control of our own destiny to a certain degree. We come up with what we need to do, how we're going to do it, and then we test it and then we deploy it. Okay, so some of our rituals. The beginning is the morning scrum, which consists of our scrum team, and it's a 15-minute meeting. Once a day we discuss yesterday's work, and we discuss today's work. And these are normally held, we stand up around a board, and you'll get the idea of the board a bit later, but we discuss within this 15 minutes generally how everything's going, what we've done, and so we're ready for the day and we know what everybody's done, and we might be able to make comments on different people's work, etc., if it helps. So also after that there's the Scrum of Scrums, so this is the Scrum Masters and the Delivery Manager. That again is a 15-minute meeting, it's once a day, and they'll talk about the blockers and the progression of each of their teams. So obviously there's a Scrum Master and they have a team of developers underneath them, and so they talk about what's blocking them and what progression is on certain projects and certain work. So then they can relay it up, and management can step in place if they need to, or sort some problems out. Okay, so some Scrum's concepts, if I can say it correctly. One of the key concepts is the sprint, and it's a deliverable period 1 week for the apps team. So it goes in different cycles, and so we have 1 week for us, but it could be 2 weeks, probably up to a month. You really want it sort of a short iterable period. And like it says here, deliverable period, so you're trying to deliver the product in that time. So you've got something from its planning inception to actually getting it to the end user, shifting it out there, and they actually start using it. And within that we have something called the velocity. So the velocity is our metric. It tells us how well we've done. We can plan it against previous week's metrics, our average velocity, sorry. So we're able to sort of like basically pin how well we're doing during the week and after the week. But it's saying, so each feature, each bit of code will have its own card. Again, that will be a concept we discuss a little bit later, but within that we give it a number, and that number is the velocity we expect that to have. And they're all combined together, the amount that you actually get through in your sprint. And so that is your end velocity for that sprint, and that goes, then you start judging whether it's been a good sprint, whether it's a bad sprint, what's been the problems with that sprint, why is the velocity low, why is it high, maybe you get rewarded or something if you have a good velocity, and scolded if you have a bad velocity. Okay, so there's also the board, and for us, as it's a physical board, I know some teams will have virtual boards, so they'll be using something like Jira, but we have a physical board, and there's three main columns. There's often different columns going about, but three main columns, and they'll be to do, work in progress, and done. So when things have been planned, it moves straight into the to do column. And then when you'll start working on it, pairs will take the cards and start working on them, so they physically move across the board. And then hopefully by the end of the sprint you've moved all of those cards into done, but in reality there may be some other cards still in work in progress or to do. And on these cards, so you have the front of the card, which will have the user story, and that's basically a sort of a business-related story about what that needs to deliver, really, to a certain degree. And it's a very sort of simple way. So as a user, I would like to log into, say, the application using a button on the home page. On the back of the cards, you have acceptance criteria. So this is really where we've sort of said, oh, okay, to achieve this card, this must be done. And we literally physically have boxes and we tick them off. Again, this is really useful when you're reviewing this work as well. So you literally flip over the card and you go, okay, right, has this been done? Has this been done? And you also test that. So you're saying, okay, does this application for the first one create a button on the home page? Is there a button on the home page? You're just testing that, and it gives you that sort of insight as to what you should be testing as well. Okay, another really key concept is pair programming. It's where two programmers will sit side by side and share a screen. So we normally actually have two screens, but we have a mirrored view, so you can see one on the same view on each screen. And for that, yeah, you'll have basically discussing different options, different roles. What could a method do? What's the best way of doing this? Perhaps they know more knowledge in a certain area. You might have a senior, you might have a junior. It's good for bandering about little ideas, and so you get to do a bit of function, a bit of coding as well, and the other person can navigate and tell you, oh, okay, maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that, and you swap over, and then they navigate you. Or it's generally quite a good. It's got a lot of perks to it, which we'll go into. So let's have a quick look at the rotation. So we rotate every day. I've got a lovely animation for you here. And there he goes. It's actually gone the other way around, but you get the gist, huh? So yeah, I mean, it's great for knowledge sharing, really. There's everybody in the team has that core knowledge of the code base, which is really good, because I've worked in teams where there's only certain people who have knowledge of this particular area, and then you're sort of trying to get that knowledge, and they don't really often want to give you that knowledge because that's their great asset they've got, and you're just like, oh, okay. But with this, everybody's got the knowledge, so there is no particular one person you have to go to. It's pretty much everybody. So with it, yeah, we rotate every day. Avoids the bus factor. So the bus factor is if you step outside, you're a programmer, you've got all that knowledge, you're the only person in the team who's got the knowledge, you walk off and then boom, you get hit by a bus. All that knowledge is lost. So it avoids that issue. And everyone's brought up to speed quickly. So new starters or junior members of the team often they're brought up to speed very quickly in pair rotation. It's very good for their learning of the code base. Another one of our sprint cycle features is planning. So our sprints actually last between a Thursday to a Wednesday, and the planning will be held on Thursday morning. It's just the Scrum team. It's 1 hour acceptance criteria, so flush out what really needs to be done here. So remember, we're ticking those boxes on the back of the cards. This part is really about that. It's about, okay, to make this work, what needs to be done. And then after you've done that, you give it an estimation. So we all say, so we work by Fibonacci numbers, so 1, 2, 3, and 5. And 5 would be a whole sprint, so the whole week. And they generally go by the days of effort. So 1 will be 1 day, 2, 3, some reason go to 4, but you're trying to break down these cards into as small as possible by the way as well. So you have these cards with their numbers. You use poker numbers as well to get to there. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, and everybody will come up with a number. And if they're all the same, great. If not, if there's maybe one person or another couple of people who've got a different number, so they've gone for 3, other people have gone for 2, you'll have discussions as to why they think it's 3, why they think it's 2, and then you'll all unanimously decide, oh, it's supposed to be this number, 5 probably. And at the end of this planning, you commit to a velocity. So you say, yes, okay, as a team, we think we will get 10 done in the week, and you're held accountable for that 10. So that's the target for the week. So during the week before, you'll have pre-planning. So pre-planning for our team will be on a Monday. So don't forget the sprint is between the Thursday and the Wednesday. So pre-planning is actually on the Monday. And that will involve a different team. So you'll have the Scrum Master and the programmers, but those programmers will just be a pair of programmers rather than everyone. And you'll have the product owner and the designer. It's 1 hour. It's the pre-planning is really to plan what will be taken into the next sprint, and you'll flush out the front of the cards. So sort of a high-level overview of what you want what you really want from it. So you know, log into the application, and you need to really, in this stage, identify any blockers that would prohibit you bringing it into the bringing it into the sprint. So if there's something that you need some other team to do some work or something, this is the moment you bring it up, you flag it up, start it now, so you're ready to actually start the work when the sprint begins. Okay, then there's the retrospective. Again, that consists of the Scrum team. And we have a game, so other teams don't always have a game, but I find it a little bit tedious. I think it can be quite repetitive if you don't do a game. And it gets a little bit more buzzy, you know, the atmosphere is a little bit better if you have a game. But the game itself will be anything, so we have shoot 'em ups, we have sort of eating Rice Krispies or something, or and we played lots of different battlefield games and whatever else. There's a whole range of different things, but basically the loser of that game will host, so one of the individuals, it can be any of the programmers or Scrum Master, will be the host of the retro, and the loser of the game will host next week's retro. So the idea of this retrospective is really to come up with reflections on the week, what's been good, what's been bad, and it gives you a bit of a talking point, so everybody's supposed to discuss things. Nobody really shies away. You should be able to commit and actually give an opinion on something, and really discuss. You can discuss anything. It could be the mood of the team, or it could be the code base, or it could be a whole range of different topics. But from this, we want to get some actions. So those actions, you'll have the host will be taking down different points that we should take into the next sprint, or these are actions that would benefit the team if you took them forward. So we're always trying to improve, and this is part and parcel of that. Okay, so other practices, testing. I guess it's an agile thing where we test everything basically. We have unit tests, component tests, end-to-end tests, and so we test the whole work. Even once after we've deployed to staging, we'll run a whole suite of tests. We test through Selenium. We test locally. It's fully tested. Deployment, so yeah, we deploy to dev, we play different boxes, we deploy to staging, and then we deploy to offline and online legs. and showcase. So this is the moment we're able to, each week we have it's about 20 minutes. We showcase to our stakeholders, so they could be editors or product owner or other tech people, the work that we've done during the week. And final thoughts. Well, Scrum certainly seems to work for us. It's just one of the Agile practices. The other top one really up there is Kanban. I think for us it's best to have a bit of a structured sort of sprint cycle. Kanban is much looser, so you don't really have the concept of the sprint so much. You have more, you take in work as and when, and you just have sort of a backlog of work consistently. You don't have velocity so much, or the teams anyway I've worked in with Kanban, and it's much more sort of a continual workflow. Like your deployment as well will be continuous, whereas for our team it's really at the end of the sprint that we bunch all our work up and say, okay, this is what we want to deliver, so we deliver that work at the end of the sprint. But yeah, that's it really. Yeah, happy days.